Hello and welcome to The Studio Demands It, an exercise in creative thinking where we will conceptualize, pitch, and craft a film or series based on the demands or stipulations from one of you listeners acting as a hypothetical Hollywood overlord.
Overlord!
As professional screenwriters ourselves and massive cinephiles, we talk movies all the time.
All the time.
And we'd like to believe that we are capable of meeting any demand thrown at us. We will be your screenwriters for this episode. I am TCD Witt, and joining me as always is Jim Dollface Burzelic.
Dollface? Oh.
Yeah, you're Dollface. Or do you prefer action figure? Like
action figure face?
Action figure. Are you a doll or an action figure, Jim? What do you...
I'm fine with being a doll.
You're the all-American doll, Jim Burzelic.
I just imagine. To me, I just sort of default in my head. I hear Cupid doll. Cupid goes with the word doll. I'm not a Cupid doll. I'm a Cupid action figure. That just popped into my head.
I like that. That is a T-shirt, ladies and gentlemen.
A Cupid action figure.
I'm not a Cupid doll. I'm a Cupid action figure. Do you know the American Girl dolls? Like, you're familiar with those?
For the image that goes with it, I'd take the Cupid doll head and put it on a He-Man action figure body.
Excellent idea. Oh, my God. I love it. Hashtag Cupid action figure, ladies and gentlemen. You hashtag us that. You figure out how to spell Cupid. And let us know if we should make
that. It might
that.
just be the letters.
Do you know the American Girl dolls, though?
I do, yes.
Yeah, okay. So they're like the period piece little girls of various ethnicities and faiths and social classes from different periods, and they've recently released the newest version of those. This came by on like a TikTok. So the historical period that they have made an American Girl doll for, the latest historical period is 1999. They made twins called Isabel and Nikki, and they come with some amazing 1999 accoutrement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's their story? What historic event happened that they
it's
are
pre Y2K.
commemorating?
Pre Y2K.
Pre Y2K.
Well, it's 99, so they're celebrating the millennium.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. They got a Tamagotchi, an inflatable couch, a Pizza Hut bucket coupon. Yeah. They have a desktop computer with a CD-ROM and a dial-up modem noise. They click on it. One of them loves the Spice Girls, and the other one loves skateboarding and grunge music. And they both have pet dogs named Blossom and Buffy.
Aren't the American Girl dolls supposed to be like they have stories?
Yeah.
That like relate to
like the Revolutionary War?
Major historical events of a period.
The major historical event of the millennium, Jim. Were you not paying attention?
Don't get me wrong.
We all survived it.
Don't get me wrong. I love the 90s. That's when I'm from. And so I recognize all those things, and I think hooray, but like
what's this? This isn't the Great Depression.
How is that the cultural impact that the Gulf War happened in the 90s?
Maybe their parents served overseas in the Gulf War.
Maybe, and to keep from worrying, they played with their Tamagotchi and inflatable couch.
Then I ask you this: what would an American Jim doll be from 1999?
Honestly, it would be really similar.
You love the Spice Girls, huh?
Yeah.
Yo, I tell you what, I'm just imagining little Jim. You're like 4.5 feet tall with a beard. What I really, really want. I don't know why you're so short in 1999.
Well, because people grow.
Oh,
and that's back in that's how tall I was then.
And you're a doll.
Yeah.
Little doll face. I see why your parents named you this. An American Jim doll. What would the music be? What were you listening to in 19? You weren't listening to the Spice Girls.
No, well, my musical tastes that's when they formed was in the 90s. Mm-hmm. I guess for most of it, I was in high school. It would have been certain heavy metal and punk music.
Ooh.
It would have been Bad Religion and Megadeth.
Yes.
Would have been
Give me that American doll.
The two most prominent artists
of the era. I'm surprised that Isabel and Nikki aren't listening to them.
They might be. We don't know.
Posers.
But also, there would have been comic books like Ninja Turtles.
Oh yeah,
And for Jim in particular, Scud
the American Jim doll would be listening to
would
be
have
reading Scud.
I would have a Scud comic book.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I do like the idea of a Kewpie doll head on a He-Man body. Kewpie action figure. It's pretty great. Here you go. Doll-faced Jim over here, ladies and gentlemen. Yep. So come on, let's get to today's demand. What do you say?
Yeah, because I'm the one holding it up here.
Yeah. Well, excuse me.
That's from the 90s.
Our amazing listeners have given us demands from studios literally all over the world. And you, listening right now, you can send us any demand you like, and we will have to meet it right here on the spot. And when we reach the end of the episode, if we've done our job right, we will have pitched a full story, meeting or even exceeding those demands. And when the end of the season comes, your demand could have helped us craft the script that will be greenlit by the fans for the finale for full production. Thank you. Seriously, thank you to everybody who keeps submitting and hitting us up in the chats and whatnot. Keep them coming. This is amazing. But today's demand, I picked one specifically, but we did get this from a few other people who I'll note. But this comes from Ms. I'm going to try it. Schlucklunkersbit Studios. Studios.
Oh,
That's
there you
probably
go.
what
Okay.
it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
The first Transformers movie was perfectly fine. It was pretty much everything it needed to be to reintroduce the world to the franchise. Unfortunately, everything that followed was just, well, gray CGI metal banging against each other while we have to put up with the dumber and dumber human characters. Bumblebee is good. Wonder what the reasons were for that. Cough. No Michael Bay cough. It is 2000. Oh, here we go. So here's the demand. It is 2007. The first Bayhem movie does exist. You have been hired to write a sequel that will be released in 2009. The writer's strike does not happen, thus giving you all the time you need to make a really great script. Knowing that Michael Bay will direct, knowing that you have to keep Shia LaBeouf, Megan Fox, Josh Duhamel, and Tyrese, the studio demands you write a better Transformers 2. Now, roll out. Look at that face. Ladies and gentlemen, you should see Jim's face over here. What a sourpuss. Well, I'll give you a moment to make...
So, first, I want to say, The Miz, I love you. I love your wrestling. I loved you in the real world.
Yes, real world. Yeah. He's from Ohio, I think.
Very, very, very good work. I love the Transformers. I think I disagree on what is a good reintroduction and what I can't change here.
If you, I believe me, Jim, I'm aware.
Everything after the first one is a gray mess.
The first one's more of a gray mess than the second one.
So, all right, I got that out of the way.
Well, hold on a second. We do have a couple other people who chimed in with some Transformers. So Hallie over at F Major with a Seventh Studios. She sent in a demand to just reboot the entire franchise. I'm sure you would have preferred that, but we had to keep Bumblebee in canon because it's the good Transformers movie. Please don't let Michael Bay anywhere near the franchise. We also got one from Davies that just cast the movie. He didn't give us any demands. He just threw up a cast.
Reboot and cast it?
No.
He gave us a cast.
He gave us a cast.
Ah, gotcha.
So Davies had some cast. I'll come back to this because the first...
I'm less familiar with those folks' wrestling careers.
Oh, yeah. Davies, I believe, is with the AFW
Gotcha.
or AWF.
And
Yep.
Haley?
And Haley she was at WCW.
Oh,
and then when they got
gotcha.
folded back in WWF, she retired.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What
Good,
an
good.
episode.
Yeah, there we go. So the demand is to maintain the first Transformers and do a new second one to follow. Now we've done a refresher.
Good Transformers or good studio demands it challenge.
Yeah, we have done some we've done some homework for ourselves by refreshing ourselves with Transformers, anticipating this. I had a feeling it was going to be. I'm glad it's not just rewrite the second one because that's what I thought it was going to be. I thought we were going to have to keep Revenge of the Fallen.
Sure.
But this is just do a second one, do a follow up to that first one. Now, admittedly, I've said this before. It's worth mentioning again. I do not have nostalgia for Transformers. I wasn't allowed to play with them as a kid. I never saw the cartoon. I didn't own any of the toys. Like my knowledge of Transformers has been gleaned through pop culture, and then eventually these movies, which I know is not great. I'm sorry. I apologize. Jim, however, you do have a history of Transformers.
I have a bit more. I feel like my Transformers knowledge is lacking compared to true Transformers fans.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, one of the places I differ, true Transformers fans are not bothered by the spatial, the mass displacement that Transformers display in the original Transformers, right? Mm-hmm. Megatron is a robot that's 20 feet tall, transforms into a handgun that can be held by a child.
Thank you, America. Boy,
Japan.
Wait, Japan. They're pandering to America by making a gun a child can hold.
Whereas the one thing Michael Bay did seem to do that I appreciate is he got rid of that mass displacement ability.
I remember hearing that they actually developed a mathematical formula for the transforming so that every piece went somewhere. That it wasn't just like, and then the leg went away.
So I've heard that before, and this is the first time because I very much dislike so much of the franchise. I automatically always crossed my arms and said, "That's stupid. Why waste so much time on it?" But that's this right now. I'm feeling actually no, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
it's cool that they did that. But like. There's a lot to the Transformers mythology. Like, so the thing I was just checking, I think the Fallen was he invented for the movie, or is he actually from?
In Revenge of the Fallen, like the
comics. I think he might be from the comics.
So from what we got with Revenge of the Fallen, for those who might need a quick refresher on that, is that it's just a year after the events of the first movie. Sam's going off to college. The Decepticons are trying to find Megatron, specifically under the the orders of the Fallen, who is still back on the destroyed Cybertron, telling Starscream, go find Megatron. I think because he wants to take over Megatron's body, and then so the Decepticons, Sam touches a bit of the Allspark, so now he's got Allspark powers, and this is such a. Meanwhile, the government's mad at the Transformers and is like, "Hey, you guys, there's more of you now, and we're mad about it, and we don't like that." Okay. They revive Megatron. Fallen shows up. Optimus and the gang fake their deaths only to come back and then beat the crap out and win. Boy, did I just summarize that really stupidly, but come on.
But there's a lot to the Transformers mythology, again, that I don't know. Like, there's this weird floating three-faced being that I can't remember its name. I cite that for being like this weird, crazy being. Mm-hmm. It doesn't transform into anything. It's just like a weird Transformers god type thing that's out there.
As a villain they could use instead of just always going back to Megatron?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Well, let's just jump right into this. If we're going to jump, okay, so we're following the first movie. We got to keep Sam and Michaela and can't remember Josh Duhamel's
Soldier and
Soldier 2. We got to keep those four at least. At least that's what was in the demand. I'm sure we could keep a couple others. Which Transformer should be in this? I think that's probably a good starting point. Before we even maybe we can go into plot elements here, but I just think where do we start and who are we with? So Optimus, Bumblebee, and Ratchet survived the first movie.
Sure. I think I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the only Transformer that was killed was Jazz because he's ripped in half.
Poor guy.
But if I remember right, they actually show us later other Transformers that got ripped in half or destroyed. They came back, and actually in the continuity of the comics, that would happen as well. Like really early on, within the first 10 issues of the Marvel comics, all of the Transformers were killed.
Sounds like an
And
animated movie.
Ratchet was the only one who was alive, and he had to go around and like he was trying
Piece them all together.
sort of, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Like and he had to make a deal with the couple remaining Decepticons, and it just is really weird for a kid who watched the cartoons to be like, I'm going to read these comics.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean everyone's dead by issue 5 and we're just following the ambulance?
Yay. Well, which Transformers do you want to keep here? Is Optimus and Bumblebee, are they given? Optimus and Bumblebee?
Yeah.
I'm just going to make notes.
I actually think most of them,
well,
right,
okay.
the original cast was Optimus, Bumblebee, Ratchet, Ironhide, and Jazz. I think it was just the 5.
Well, I think the question then, we could keep them. Who are your favorite Transformers? Who's
My
not?
very favorite Transformer is Wheeljack.
Okay.
He's a race car.
Do you want Wheeljack in the movie?
I don't need him in the movie.
How about RC? I know her.
You do know her.
Yeah.
So RC, to me, RC is a weird one because RC is I believe, Generation 2 Transformer.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't come out until the 1986 movie. She looks futuristic because she's from Cybertron, where the cars don't look like the cars on Earth. So to me, that's how she is. Like she's not an Earth former.
Well, I'm telling you, man, they took a Volkswagen Bug and turned it into a Camaro, so it's not impossible to make a girl Transformer
They did,
look
well,
different.
and they did, and they put her, well, in the second one at least.
She's 3 motorcycles.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm just curious. Like, if
Sure.
you have carte blanche, you can bring in any Transformers you want, good and bad. If you just want to be
Fair enough.
Optimus, Bumblebee, Ratchet, Ironhide again, and we could bring Jazz back from the dead.
To me, I'd be okay with that, right? It's sort of in their machine nature that they can be repaired.
Okay. Let's just as a small character trait, because these characters need more character, if we're being honest. Jazz could just have a glitch. I know, like, Bumblebee doesn't have a voice box. We could, he did get his voice back at the end of the first movie. You know what that means? He can talk in this one. Yay!
He can't, but do we? Well, the thing is, that was a really interesting quirk to give a Transformer, which is why they got rid of his voice in every subsequent movie.
I don't like it.
Fair enough. Okay. So to me, it almost more depends on the things that we're going to have happen.
Okay. Well, then we'll come back to if you want to add any.
Transformers 2 did highlight a whole lot of beloved Transformers, good and bad, and it, in my opinion, did them dirty. Like Jetfire, making him a Blackbird is kind of a neat idea, but to make him this weird old man, like fart jokes, and he has a cane, and
he teleports instead of flies.
Yeah, it felt weird. And then Devastator. So the thing that they made Devastator, I thought looked cool, balls and all.
I am underneath the scrotum.
But it didn't look.
That's in the movie. I'm not saying it.
And if you didn't know Devastator, it looked like a cool thing called Devastator, but it wasn't, like, because Devastator, unless I'm
the
getting it wrong again,
Constructicons, right?
That's the name of the Constructicons when they're all put together.
They Voltron
and
together.
that's not what they look like. It's supposed to be a big guy, right? You're supposed to differentiate. It's supposed to be a Voltron.
Yeah.
Not what that was.
Gray CGI mess.
It was more red. It was a red CGI. No, it was in 2. They did a better job, in my opinion, differentiating the machines.
Color coding them a little better.
Yeah. Right, because I remember we watched it, and I remembered commenting they did a much better job in the second one of showcasing the Transformers by just having much more zoomed out shots, so you could see what was happening right until the final battle.
Yeah,
where they're like,
Fallen
get
is
up in there.
Like, hey, I'm the Fallen and I'm dead.
Yeah.
Hey, remember
like,
the bad guy in Transformers 2 and it's the Fallen and he showed up and he died. Yeah, the color coding them, and like every movie has done better and better at that. Even right now, Rise of the Beast, I think, is the name of the one that's coming out this year. You can clearly tell who these characters are.
Yeah, well, and also as we've gone each progressive Transformer movie, they've been slowly making the designs go back to the original looks of all the characters,
a little simpler.
except for Bumblebee.
Except for Bumblebee, he still looks like a
He still looks like how Michael Bay had him designed.
weird. Okay, so let's talk plot here. So what we're sometime after the first movie. Transformers are on Earth.
Sure.
Megatron is at the bottom of the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Optimus put a call out to anyone who, in the sound of his wonderful voice, Peter Cullen, come on to Earth.
Moving sound at the speed of radio out into the galaxy.
And Sam and Michaela are kissing on top of Bumblebee. Like the government is aware and covering up the Transformers mess.
Yep.
Where do we go from here? Where do you, as the Transformers fan out of the two of us, what would you want to do with these characters? Because you're going to focus on Transformer stuff, and I'm going to try to inject all the human stuff into it. Cade Yeager introduced in this movie. Let's get to Mark Wahlberg sooner, ladies and gentlemen.
Honestly, so I love me. I said my favorite Transformer is Wheeljack.
Mm-hmm.
He's essentially the inventor of the Autobots.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's in the show. He'd be, oh, Wheeljack, what are you doing over here? Oh, I came up with this new thing, and here's the episode's going to be about how it goes wrong, or how the Decepticons try to steal it to use it and stuff like that.
He makes the MacGuffins.
He's the mad scientist. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that would have been a perfect character to pair with Cade Yeager. Sorry, just a little tangent.
Well, let me share this. You said he's a race car, right?
Yeah.
But
also this is Bayformers.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be a race car, even though the Miz said we got to keep Michael Bay away.
No. Michael Bay is directing this. Everyone else was like, keep Michael Bay away.
Yeah, he doesn't have to be a race car. That's just what the original toy was.
Well,
and so many of the characters have already changed.
Yeah,
so.
You're right. So it could be a different car, and RC can be two motorcycles. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw out an idea here for just a plot element here. So Optimus threw a call out to the other Transformers. And you can draw from comics and cartoons to help me out here, because this might be something that could be developed from source material. Are there other Transformers on Earth already, and could they be hiding? So could there be a race car that has been like part of a family that's been kicking ass on the Formula circuit or the NASCAR circuit or some like lower tier race car circuit that's actually been a sleeper Transformer? Okay, no,
So
I don't
no,
get mad at me.
I'm not getting mad at you. I'm getting mad at
this really good idea.
Orsi and Kurtzman. Because they redid the Transformers origin. Technically, in these movies, and this is one of my peeves about the original one. The Autobots, quote unquote, show up for the first time in that movie. They've never been to Earth. They've never met humans, anything like that. So technically, none of them should be here. The only Transformer that has been to Earth was 100 years ago, and it was Megatron.
Okay.
That, according to that first movie, that's it. That's so limiting.
Yeah. We have the freedom to rewrite history here.
And we do, and so we do. So we can. Well, we can have it be whatever we want.
The reason I asked if there could be other Transformers, and particularly if you got your Wheeljack.
Yeah.
Yeah. If he's hiding, could it be like a Ocean's 11? I know that's a really weird comparison, but sort of like waking up and recruiting Autobots who've been on Earth or hiding on Earth. Or flip it, and could there be a bunch of Decepticons all over Earth that are being activated now that oh God, I can't believe I'm evoking this. Well, I mean, I just need to come to terms with what I'm about to compare this to.
Now you're all upset.
Could this open with the battle at Houston happening all over again, where Megatron is destroyed, and we are seeing that from a different perspective of other Decepticons around the Earth that have been hiding and waiting for this time to be called back into action, much like the beginning of BVS.
No.
Okay, good. Thank you for letting me throw the idea out there, and then you telling me not to do it.
So, based on how that first one ends, right? Optimus is like, "This is our new home. We're gonna
work with the humans."
Yeah,
that's
what we're
leave.
gonna do.
Yeah.
Us giant robots that are like 10 times the size of you, and you can't do anything to us. We're just gonna live alongside, not take over. Never mind. Look over that way.
Yeah, look over there.
Anyway, That's not what they're going to do. Optimus Prime is a good guy. That is actually another way the movies go wrong. Is they focus too much on making him a badass when Optimus Prime is supposed to be like the leader of leaders,
like Captain America.
Yeah, yeah. He's Captain America and Superman rolled into a semi truck.
Rolled like wheels.
Yeah.
Don't pat me on the head. Get away from me.
So, thinking on how that one ends, right? Optimus Prime says, "This is where we're going to be," and he sends that signal out to all of his other friends. The thing is, it's not a private signal, so he sends that signal out. And I actually don't mind doing a Fallen story. I just don't want to do a whole back in time. All this stuff happened.
Okay.
Or if anything, if I would want to do that, it would be Megatron had brought with him that key or whatever.
Sure.
The MacGuffin that will be needed.
The Matrix of Leadership.
No,
because that's
Optimus
in the.
has.
What are the Omnicron or what are the little things they're looking for? Isn't there like some sort of thing like doohickey that they need to collect so they can actually leave the planet?
In the original cartoon, yes, they needed power, and they would collect it in things called energon cubes.
That's what I remember. I've heard that before. So could that be our doohickey of the movie, our energon cubes?
Possibly.
Okay. Because
I feel it's a lot less important. So they've destroyed the cosmic cube.
The cosmic cube is destroyed. Yes.
Wait, what? What do you?
The cosmic cube's from Marvel. It's not. It wasn't called the cosmic cube in.
What was it called? It was called the cube of Transformers.
The cube of Transformerness.
The thing I always connect it to is they created this framework for the Transformers cartoon in syndication, where transitions between scenes, instead of just cutting or fading to black as the cartoon was originally done, they did this weird CG thing where the shot would pull out and you'd see this weird purple techno frame, and it would fly out of the way and a new frame would come in, and the whole conceit is that the show is being shown to you by this Transformer cube.
The Allspark itself is shown to you?
I believe so, yeah.
That's silly.
The Allspark, that's what it was called. So that's already it. My idea is Optimus sends this signal out.
Got it.
Nobody has known where he is, where any of this stuff is going, and he just sent this out. And everyone, all Transformers, all Cybertronians, everywhere hear this, including the Fallen, who's been in hiding. My nemesis just sent a signal out. I'm going to get him. I'm going to go get him.
And apparently only a Prime can't. Okay, so again, looking at the existing movie, only a Prime can kill a Fallen. I think that should be only a Prime is capable. Like, not that it's like you could be mortarized by any other Autobot, but you can't die because it's not a Prime doing the damage.
No, well, I actually don't mind that either. So I think the way to contextualize, to understand the Primes, the Primes are kind of like imagine them as the Archangels.
Okay.
Okay, and the Fallen was one of them. And he fell.
Like a morning star.
Yeah, like a morning star.
Yeah.
So essentially, the Fallen can only be killed by an Archangel.
Okay.
The only Archangel remaining is Optimus Prime.
And so the Fallen hears Optimus's voice and is like, "Oh hell no! I'm gonna find this guy and kill him."
Yeah.
Okay. So now we have our big bad guy. So that's the general idea of the movie. Then is Optimus sent that voice out, Fallen heard it. I'm going to come to Earth and kill Optimus.
That's my initial thought. Yeah.
Okay. How do we stretch that into 2.5 hours?
We're like 40 minutes into the episode.
We're fine. We're 30 minutes in. How do we stretch that out to 2.5 hours?
So the first act is about we get snippets of that, and
I have an idea.
The Fallen sort of like getting his minions to be like, hey, tell everyone we're going to go here. Meanwhile, Transformers are coming to Earth, Autobot and otherwise.
And Decepticons.
And so they start landing all over. So it is a matter of, we got to... this was poorly thought out. We need to find...
We have to police ourselves.
Kind of. We need to find where these guys are going and stuff like that, because they're robots in disguise. So... Sector 7 needs the Transformers' help to find where these because they start falling all over the planet, not just southwestern United States, like some other movies did.
One should probably land in China.
Sure.
Yeah. Maybe
Okay.
like one of the really important ones.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just so there's like a huge set piece there.
Okay.
I'm trying to make $1 billion.
In 2007, most definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so okay, so the Fallen coming, could let me throw this as an option. Could the Fallen be like, what if the Fallen is not in a good way? Like he's been alone, he's been like in seclusion for God knows how, whereas like the other Autobots and Decepticons are showing up maybe in pairs or have had a better time out there after Cybertron was destroyed. The Fallen was exiled long before. Basically, he needs to like build up to be powerful enough to fight Optimus, and part of that could be killing and scavenging parts from other Transformers. I'm just trying to create a villain here for us to build up to.
For a framework, I recommend Voldemort.
Great, yeah, like having to accumulate, like get his power back, get his groove back. So
how the Fallen got his groove back.
Yeah, Transformers 2, how the Fallen got his groove back.
So what ends up happening is, so all these Transformers are showing up on Earth. The Fallen basically has his own little cult of fallen followers. Maybe that's actually what most of the Decepticons are, like Megatron, because Megatron was an acolyte of the Fallen as well. That really the Decepticons are that. So instead of working for that boss, like, oh, we got to answer the really scary guy.
Yeah.
And what the really scary guy starts doing, I like that, right? So he comes toward Earth and he puts out his call, and so a bunch of Decepticons, or a handful, will pick some names. My initial thought is the Jets. The Jets.
So Starscream.
It's a Starscream, Ramjet. I think he was. Ramjet might have been a good guy. I'm gonna forget.
Well, I mean,
them all
we
now.
can have another flying character in here if you like the idea of my suggestion of the Fallen basically like cannibalizing Transformers.
Sort of. Yeah, that's what it was going to be. It was going to be right. He's this sort of this undead, lich like Transformer, and he summons the ones that hear his call to him, and he starts consuming them to grow powerful. And Starscream is like, whoa, 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 whoa! I can get you, Transformers.
Yes.
You don't have to eat me and us here.
Yeah.
We're gonna get him for you. And so they're going back to Earth to get the Transformers that are all flocking here, and they're killing them and or abducting Transformers, taking them to the Fallen, wherever the Fallen's hiding. I'm imagining him hiding in space, the dark side of the moon. But I realize that's the third one, so maybe I shouldn't.
We'll put him on
use that one.
We'll hide him somewhere. But yeah,
Yeah.
I have an idea. I'm going to bring the humans into this.
Okay.
I'm going to throw this out there.
Humans.
Yeah. Here. Okay. I'm going to start with Josh and Tyrese and Sector 33, Sector 31. What?
It was Section 7.
Section 7.
Or Sector 7? Section 7. Section.
The covert ops group
that was John Turturro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's he's going to be the head of this covert organization that covers up any Transformers incidents, as well as working with the Autobots.
Sure.
So here's what they're doing. So the military side of things is they're kind of working hand in hand. If we introduce what's his name, your guy, the
Wheeljack.
if he's actually developing the tech that the soldiers can use to actually put up a fight against the
sure.
freaking, because
Instead of
human
just,
that's
guns.
doing nothing,
Yeah.
give them a fighting chance here. They're doing one of two things. A Transformer lands, whether it's a Decepticon or an Autobot, they converge on those territories or on those places where they are, and they either recruit them or capture them. If they're a good guy, it's like, hey, chill out, we're here, like, we're with Optimus, you're going to work with us, and so basically start slowly creating a collection of good guys, and they're all in one location. You know, this recruit, their Avengers Tower, what have you, right? And the Decepticons landing fight, fight, fight. We're here to fight for Megatron. Before we get to the Fallen's secret operation here, just evil Decepticons show up, and they're capturing them and locking them up in some sort of Transformers prison. So Starscream's notion of, hey, I can get you Transformers. The misconception could be him kind of like killing and getting the Autobots for him to consume for parts. But the master plan here is to get them all in one location so that the Fallen could have a buffet of captured Decepticons. Or like just like basically it's like, oh, it seems like we've sort of like it was my intention to get caught plan that we saw a lot after Dark Knight. It's not exactly that, but basically creating a scenario of Decepticons and Autobots fighting where they're all being put into one place, a facility that the Fallen could then get to and at his mercy destroy all these characters.
And that's Starscream's plan?
That's just you don't even have to attack one by one. Trust me, Master, I have a plan. Let me do this. I can get them all in one spot. I can get you a buffet. Maybe not I'm not saying word it that way, but basically that's the twist. That, oh man, all this time the Autobots and we put all the Decepticons in one place. Oh shit. And now the Fallen has shown up and he's absorbing them and now he's a freaking juggernaut. There we go. That's at least how to get the military characters involved fighting with the Autobots against Decepticons.
Sure.
Also roping into the plan of what you're suggesting is the Fallen coming to Earth to fight Optimus, but he needs to
get his power and to defeat the Primes once and for all.
Okay, so that was a lot of like.
Sure.
Does any of that work for you?
Sure. I didn't hear anything that I was like, no, that ruins it all. So except for the, because if except for how Starscream is wrangling these things to happen, that's the only thing that I got lost on.
Well, there's some ironing and some nuance that needs to be created here, but I like the notion that the Fallen is just gonna like, say like a Decepticon is like on his way to Earth and Fallen's like, ha, I'm hiding in the moon, and Starscream is like, whoa, stop killing. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. That's gonna get. I have a plan.
Oh, sure. Well, rather than ambushing, like I'm imagining this scene where the Fallen calls the his local disciples, and they show up, and he's like, "Good, you've arrived," and he starts like he grabs one and just starts eating
meat in the marrow
from his engine, and that's when Starscream realizes, oh, he's about to vampire drain all of us. That's not cool. Hey, I can help you out here.
I'll get you better meals, buddy.
Buddy. And so the Jets, the gang of Jets, the Jets gang, goes out to find the sharks, Sharkticon. The Jets go out to gather victims for the Fallen. If you want it to be where it's like, well, they're not just going to pick off one by one. They're gonna try gathering.
Yeah, because first plan could be like, let's not kill your Decepticon followers. Let's ambush and grab some Autobots. And if we establish at the top, tell me if this is too much of a tension killer. If we establish up top, Ratchet basically nursing or rebuilding Jazz back to health.
Sure.
Then if some of our Autobots get killed or really brutalized in the course of this action movie of CG fighting CG, it would suck to see characters die, but there's also that sort of get out of jail free card of like, well, we could bring these characters back if their parts survive kind of thing. Because then if the Fallen is consuming them and destroying their parts, now the tension is then put back in of like, oh man, we can't revive the character if the pieces are missing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good.
So in that, one of the Jets that is a part of that crew is Jetfire. Jetfire starts as a Decepticon. So rather than it being backstory and be like, I was a Decepticon and I decided not to be, we get to see him be like, this is not cool. I don't like. Sure, I love being a bad guy, but I really don't like the idea of letting someone suck the soul out of someone.
So he would turncoat and try to find Optimus.
Yeah.
Cool. And that could be when the heroes find out about the Fallen at some point.
Maybe. that's when the heroes find out about the plan. I have another idea. Maybe this is going too far. I don't know. A group of Transformers that does show up at Optimus's doorstep, rather than just all of them landing everywhere and then just assimilating themselves into car society.
Okay.
It's the group that we would know initially from the '86 movie of the future Transformers that they met.
Oh, the Generation 2.
It would be RC, Hot Rod, Cup, and not Omega Supreme.
So Hot Rod, if I remember,
there was a guy.
it was the one who took over for Optimus.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to go down that road. I'm not a fan of Hot Rod and Rodimus Prime, but introducing the character now, I think it'd be kind of fun to introduce. You look like space cars. You can't look like space cars because they're loyal to the Autobots. So that's where they're like, Optimus, we got your signal. We want to help. All of this is craziness is going on. The Fallen is out there and he heard your signal. That's bad, right? So they can sort of do a lot of the exposition for Optimus from space, like catch him up on what's going on.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. And you're creating a scenario with the audience where they're going to go, they're going to kill everyone in this movie. Right. And if we,
Sure. Actually, by introducing Hot Rod, it's like, you are setting up Rodimus Prime, you jerk.
In the second movie, is this happening? Yeah. And that's a fun sort of subversion of some expectations there. There's something happening. I just want to tangent for a second. What we're doing is what I had hoped we would do. Make characters out of our Transformers.
Sure.
Because the way they feel in the first movie, and kind of feel like for the most part, is the humans are the main characters and the Transformers are the supporting characters. Is how it kind of feels. And we do need to figure out a way to get Shia and Sam and Michaela in this. But we'll come back to that.
Well, so the lazy way is, they're gonna go where Bumblebee goes.
Well, we'll come back to them. We'll do that after the break. We'll figure them out. Right now, I'm taking a moment to appreciate that crafting a very specific story around these characters, even just the villain plot, is help. And then these four new characters showing up to talk to Optimus. Optimus working with the government to recruit and or restrain Decepticons and Autobots. We're just kind of honing in a little more for these characters to do specifically that could then enhance them as characters. Ratchet being in, he hasn't turned back into an ambulance in a long time because he's fixing jazz and working.
Sure.
He's just full robot mode working, and I don't know. I think these movies would just be more enjoyable. And this goes to a conversation we had during the commentary track. They'd be more enjoyable with these characters being characters and not just being even though Transformers has always been a toy commercial, they all had personalities, they all had stories as small as they might be. And my big argument against these Transformer movies, despite making billions of dollars, they're not really rewatchable. And the reason they're not rewatchable is because these characters aren't great.
Yeah.
So going this route of at least crafting a plot like this should allow us to, let's discuss what is Optimus's. You said he's the Boy Scout. He's the leader. He's Captain America.
Oh, I think I figured out how to have my cake and eat it too.
Okay, let's have some cake, Jim.
So this is something that they kind of do in 2, but I don't think they go quite as far as... Maybe this is going too far. What if Sam does touch a shard of the Allspark?
Okay.
But rather than just having information downloaded into him where he has seizures of information, he's literally becomes a living Allspark.
Okay. So he can bestow life on the Transformers?
Maybe. I realize I'm I don't have that sounds pretty Deus Ex Machina. What's the drama here? Maybe that doesn't become apparent right away. That's a thought, right? So now the battle, yes, ultimately Prime is the one who needs to kill the Fallen, but essentially it becomes this battle between Entropy, the Fallen destroying all this stuff to consume it for itself, and creation, Sam, is now like he's
Okay.
throughout the movie he's accidentally touching machines, and
Like
they turn into
activating.
transformers, sort of like it did in the beginning, where
Yeah.
it burns through his house and then decides to stop burning through his house, and then animates a bunch of appliances.
But instead of being the shard, it's actually him doing it.
Yeah,
That's not bad. I think there's something there.
because then we could even. I don't know that I want to go this far. We could even go as far as to killing Optimus. Hot Rod becomes Rodimus Prime. We have the climax of the movie. Rodimus and Sam, or just Rodimus, kills the Fallen. Right? So the Fallen kills Optimus, and then all hope is lost.
Right.
Oh, Rodimus becomes the Prime, so he can kill the Fallen. Does so. Oh, we're super sad. Optimus is dead, and all these others. But
Yeah. But
Optimus,
specifically our hero. our main character.
and Sam goes up and either he realized, like, has an epiphany and like, wait, but I'm the Hall Spark, and
Yeah.
he goes and like does a jump start and raises Optimus, or transfers it, like does a whole River Song giving all of her regenerations to the Doctor kind of thing.
Well, thinking, that's not the worst. That's not a bad idea. That's actually, that could be put into a 2.5 hour movie, 2 hour, 40-minute movie. I mean, Optimus spends half the movie dead anyway. They just keep hauling his bones around. They're like, oh, we're going to helicopter him over here, drop him right there. That's fine, guys. Pick him up. We're going to Egypt. Drop him right there, guys. And Sam resurrects him with the Matrix of Leadership after going to robot heaven. So, like, weirdly, we kind of circled back to some ideas of what's happening in the existing Revenge of the Fallen. I have a thought. I think there might be something here, but I want to take a...
Oh, can I have my cake and eat it too, and another cake?
Do you want a second cake, Jim?
I think I do.
What's the first cake? I'm confused. What was that?
It was incorporating Rodimus Prime, but also still having Optimus.
Okay.
So doing the whole Rodimus Prime thing to satisfy Rodimus Prime fans.
Yeah, but then making sure
also-
Optimus comes out. There you
yeah.
go. You had that cake. What's the second cake?
To set it up so that we can have Dinobots and Beast Formers and
Okay,
stuff
not
like
in this
that.
movie, but set it up. Go ahead.
Something also happens in our climax that sends, not necessarily our main characters, but sends either a part of the Allspark or a handful of Transformers or something back in time.
Jim, we got to take a break. I want to do something with this idea of Sam, and I know what to do with Bumblebee, and I kind of how to like tie this together.
Okay.
And I think I have an idea of what to do with that terrible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, because it also ends up justifying why Bumblebee takes place in the 80s.
Yeah. I think I have something that we could potential, but we'll come back to that. We got to take a quick break here. Here's a couple messages from 6.5 Media. We'll be right back after this.
It's the first day of school, and I'm walking around downtown Chicago with hundreds of other students. Everyone's getting back from summer break, and you can tell that they're happy to see each other after a couple months. For me, however, it's been a little longer. Hi, I'm David, and I want to introduce you to Returning Student, a documentary podcast that I've been making about my return to a college that I left 20 years ago. I'm back in the same city, at the same school, the same student ID number. Everything else feels completely different. My fellow classmates are literally half my age. My professors work in my industry. Sometimes I wonder why I've come back at all. But then I get the opportunity to sit down with one of my professors and have a conversation with them, which usually yields a little bit of wisdom. You can find the show on all major podcast providers, as well as our website, returningstudentpodcast.com. A lot has changed over the past 2 decades.
Okay, here we are. We're
Okay,
back.
we're back.
What a great break. I'm like kind of like excited, and you were just commenting how this is going better than you imagined.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to jump back in?
Nope.
Do you have anything? Okay. Okay.
Go for it.
I got 2 thoughts here. One's a longer thought. One's leading into your idea of sending Allspark powers back in time or whatever.
Sure.
I got something Michael Bay's gonna love for that one.
Okay.
But we'll get there. So first off, with Sam here. Okay, I want to switch. I want to kind of like I want to change what they did with him because he's just this buffoon. No. He wants to go away to college and all that. Here's my suggestion. He wants to be involved in the fight. He's like I just saved the world fighting with robots from space. I want to do that now. Like him, and even Michaela is like, yeah, we want to stay involved, and they're like, no, you're still too young, and basically they're, whether it's both of them vying for it or like Sam is stupidly like trying to get involved, and Optimus is like, Bumblebee, you have to protect Sam and keep him away from this. Stop bringing him to the fights. Like, so Bumblebee is Sam's protector and basically stays out of the fight. Like, is constantly like, Sam is like, let's go there, and Bumblebee's like, and maybe even Michaela's like, you know what, I'm going to make it that she's like, hey, let them do the thing. Why don't we like focus on being human? And like
the girl wants to focus on the relationship.
I don't want to go exactly there, but just like she understands the danger a little bit more, and Sam is just far more reckless. Like, just something to that effect. I like the idea of him having the Allspark in him, which then makes it even more imperative that he stays away. Like maybe it's like, okay, sorry, spaghetti. His Allspark spark, like he has a spark in him. Maybe they are utilizing that, but like with Ratchet, like you don't get to go out on the field. You go to school, you come here on your days off, we'll work with the machinery. Michaela is in the machine shop with Ratchet, so she's...
we don't even need the conceit of like, there was a shard and it touches you, and literally he held it at the end of the last movie, and it was like it was not like he was supposed to burn himself, like something terrible was supposed to happen to him when he touched it. Yeah. And then he held it like he hugged the thing, and it didn't do that. So in this, we can say that's like when it disintegrated and stuff at the end of that first movie.
It went into
it's
him.
because it went into him. Yeah.
So sorry, this is like a lot of brainstorming ideas here, but having him be the spark, I love that. Maybe he doesn't want to like go into the battle. Maybe he is more like, I just want to. I'm happy to be involved, but like let me live my life.
Refuse the call.
Kinda.
Sure. Yeah.
But having Michaela be essentially a mechanic in the shop with Ratchet, she could eventually be an inventor. Just show her ingenuity as a mechanic and how good she is with cars. Give her your car.
Sure. I appreciate you trying to incorporate my favorite Transformer.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that.
You're welcome. Keeping them involved in like they keep them close because spark power, but also we can't have the bad guys find him. Mm-hmm. And then also needing to utilize him to bring Optimus back and using him to like activate Rodimus, Hot Rod, and turn him into Rodimus Prime. Giving him Allspark abilities that the bad guys try to kidnap him. Like, there could be something in all of that.
Well, I think that's
my excited spaghetti. Here you go. There you go.
I think that makes sense sort of for an initial state, right? Like we want you to stay away, stuff like that. The bad guys find out about him. Mm-hmm. Fallen is super excited because if he can just eat the Allspark in a squishy human,
he doesn't need to keep killing Decepticons.
Yeah. So my initial thought, the easy story is, so the Decepticons grab Sam. Now our heroes have to rescue Sam.
Even if that's just a fight sequence.
And what that allows is you framed Michaela as being more level-headed and be like, let's not get involved in the 38 million tons of twisting metal.
I'm happy to be in the machine shop working with these, but for the love of God, we can't be out there in the field. We can't get lucky twice.
But now that Sam's been damseled, she has to go. She's like,
she hops in your car. Let's go.
Or RC.
She
girl power.
Girl power.
Girls stick together. You're a girl former. I'm a girl human. Let's
be
girl
friends.
Power.
Let me braid your metal hair. Kidding. Okay, yeah, that keeping there's something there, but here's the wrap it to the end kind of thing.
Okay.
Michaela like let's be involved to a point. Let me rescue Sam, like be part of the rescue of Sam in the end, kind of thing. Getting the Allspark.
Sorry. It's just
go ahead.
if we do go that route where the Decepticons find out about Sam, kidnap him, that's where Optimus dies. He dies trying to rescue Sam.
And yeah, that's great. That's sort of like a second act into third, like somewhere in the middle kind of thing. Sam gets kidnapped. Michaela, like ultimately we need to get the Allspark out of Sam and re-put back into, basically reform the cube. And the cube has been on Earth, right? That's what Megatron almost got. So eventually,
it landed on Earth in 1910 during the Tunguska blast.
Yeah.
No, it landed. Where did they have
it was
land?
Antarctica, right? Because that's where
Antarctica.
Megatron
Yeah,
almost
the
found it.
Tunguska blast was in Siberia.
Yeah.
I thought that they had related the things. They didn't. Never mind.
Sam's grandfather, Mr. Witwicky.
Yeah. Went and found it and Megatron.
Okay, so to play with your send this thing back in time scenario, I'm going to jump to the end of the movie.
Okay.
I actually think instead of eating Sam, right? Maybe it could even be like, that's not going to work. They're like, then we will draw the Allspark out of him. So they're the ones who like pull the Allspark, reform the Allspark. So for the final battle, before the Fallen can use the Allspark like he wants, the thing exists again. Sam is human again to be rescued. They're battling over all of it.
So here's the Allspark, shards of it exist.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have any of the energy. What if the first thing the Fallen's like, give me the Allspark, find it for me. Like it was destroyed. Well, bring me the pieces, and they do. And he's like, none of the power is here. And like every time, like here you go, Master. Here's a piece of the Allspark, and he's like, not enough, not good enough.
Yeah.
And he sucks their soul, and that that's the reason. That's the reason they
Sam.
show up, other than just, what'd you want? Oh, to die.
Yeah. Bringing him Allspark pieces.
So then when they find out all of the Allspark power is in Sam, that motivates our bad guys to grab him.
Bring him
more
there,
so.
Put it back in the cube, and then
No,
you have Shia LaBeouf
I
like,
wouldn't even think put back in the cube. I would think the Fallen would just suck it out of him.
out of Sam.
Yeah.
No, I want to get it back in the cube.
Okay.
For your idea of sending it back in time.
Okay.
However this all hashes out, Optimus comes back in the end, right? But I think in the battle that should happen, not like Rodimus gets to kill the Fallen and then Optimus comes back. Actually, I don't know how this should play out. I'm going to the end. I'm going to the end here.
Okay.
The frickin' Allspark exists again. It's wholly put back together, and Michaela is the one who gets a hold of it, and the Allspark and Michaela disappear. So then, when the movie's all said and done, Michaela has been lost. The Allspark's gone. The Fallen has been destroyed. Optimus is back. It's a victory with a loss. And now we're gonna give you the Michael Bay's gonna love this epilogue of the movie. We come down on Earth 65 million years ago, and there's the Allspark.
Okay.
And however, standing before it, we see a leg hit the ground. We pan up on Megan Fox dressed as a sexy cave lady with a spear.
Dressed as Jane of the Jungle.
Yes. And you know, Michael Bay can objectify the hell of Megan Fox in a sexy leopard skin bikini.
And a big Transformer Tyrannosaur pops up behind her roaring. And there's Grimlock.
Yep, and then cut. That's
Sure.
the final scene of, so everyone's like, "Whoa, Beast Wars, baby!" I was
Okay.
yeah, that was the idea. I was excited about it
No,
before the break.
Dinobots isn't Beast Wars.
Dinobots.
Sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I felt the tweets
Get
coming.
it. Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty good.
And then our third movie is how do we get Megan Fox back to the future, which
Well-
is perfectly fine, because maybe in this timeline she doesn't call Michael Bay a Nazi.
Maybe not.
I'm so dribbled.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's more dramatic. I feel like putting the Allspark back in cube form. that doesn't have to be a climactic thing. I feel like that can be a little bit of the denouement with bringing Optimus back.
Mm-hmm. Okay. The only reason I'm doing this is to create a continuity so Bumblebee still exists. I know
Sure.
that wasn't part of the demand. It did come from one of our other demanders, F Major Studios or whatever.
Haley?
Haley, yes.
Haley.
I'm just sort of working that in because Bumblebee actually is a very good.
It was a good movie.
Girl and her horse movie. So then, if the Allspark exists exactly as we initially saw it in the first Transformers, anything that exists before that, if the Allspark did its thing 65 million years ago and whatever, it ends up in Antarctica. And then whatever happens in between the time travel back then and Antarctica doesn't matter.
I mean, we're making this movie in 2007. We technically don't know what the future holds, but we are also beholden to make sure a certain future occurs.
Technically, that was a secondary demand of maintaining Bumblebee. I'm just doing that
Because I think what you did is you've set up the initial bit we need. I think 3 would be about going back in time.
Okay.
And then what we could. We're supposed to just talk about the second one here.
That's fine.
But
Good. A little speculative talk here.
In the third one, it would be about jumping through time, hitting bunches of different times.
So yeah,
and that explains why the Transformers are at different places and why. Yeah,
that wild idea of them being in World War II, a Transformer killed Hitler, King Arthur's court, and all that nonsense that thus been developed in the 4 or 5 sequels. Then sort of like, well, it holds the credibility if we introduce time travel at the end of the second movie.
And it also makes that the future of the characters we met in the first Transformers, not their past.
Not some sort of strange retcon.
Yeah.
Wow.
Time travel fixes everything and breaks everything.
Who would have thought?
But again, that's the conceit we set up at the end of this movie to get there. So yeah, Sam.
And Michael Bay, I'm telling you, Megan Fox in Tarzan Jane outfit. Come on, man.
Yeah.
You know you want to.
Yeah. I think at a certain point, right in that climactic battle, the Fallen's like, they keep essentially tossing Sam between each other as the Fallen is trying to get him. And he's like, fighting me is foolish. I grow more and more powerful every moment. You can't defeat me. Your prime is dead. No primes remain. And some sort of Deus Ex Machina, basically, where Sam does a super spark or whatever you want to call it. Or
imagining Shia LaBeouf being like, no.
Essentially, Hot Rod pulls a hero moment, and it's the combination of Sam being there and Hot Rod rising to the occasion that he explodes from basic Transformer into a Prime himself, and the Fallen's like, no, impossible, and then he gives him a good old Prime stab.
Right when that happens, Starscream bails.
I'm
out of here.
So we have one major plot point that I'd like to bring in, and I don't know how, and that's addressing Megatron.
He's at the bottom of the ocean, man.
And we're just going to keep him there
just leave him there to the next
fourth movie.
Leave him there for the. I don't think Megatron needs to be in this, unless you really think it's critical to figure out a way to get Megatron back. I think leave him there. Because, you know what? In your hero moment, sorry to back up while you digest the fact that I'm saying leave Megatron out of here. Having Bumblebee essentially push Hot Rod into his, help him rise to the moment. Because Bumblebee is sort of like a fan favorite. He's the sidekick. He's the Robin to Optimus's Batman. Maybe if Bumblebee's sole goal is his mission was to protect Sam, so he is just dead set on fighting his way through every obstacle to just get to Sam. So if that's, I'm just trying to make sure Bumblebee is active in this, and Hot Rod rising to the occasion. If however that moment plays out, it could be Bumblebee saying I have to go for Sam, you have to do this, and Hot Rod being I have to rise to the occasion. Just trying to create,
Yeah.
just making sure that we keep our main players actively working here. And
Yeah,
Bumblebee was. I just wanted to make sure he was involved. Okay, let's have a Megatron conversation.
I see what I see what you're saying.
We just have a lot of movie
And,
here,
yeah.
and the
Also,
second
it's-
movie
it's,
did suffer.
It's 2007. Studios weren't as willing to delay certain things as they are after 2010. So holding a villain for a later movie just
He was our main villain in the last one.
He was.
And even using Revenge of the Fallen as an example, they were willing to let him be second fiddle to even fighting the Fallen with Optimus at the end of what we had. So I can see both sides of it. Of like, we don't know. It's this will come out in 2009. The first one didn't make $1 billion. It made just under $800,000. So we have to. Yeah, maybe it's like we can't hold off on Megatron, bring him back in, but we just have a lot of movie, and the last thing I want to do is put so much movie on the table that isn't tight enough that then we just create a mess like the movie we already got.
Okay.
Having discussion of Megatron, of like when all the stuff starts going sideways, having John Turturro and Josh Small being like, okay, things are getting tense. Is Megatron still at the bottom of the ocean? Yeah, our cameras are still pointed at him. Like, just even acknowledging that he's still there, I'm willing to do that.
Sure.
And if you want a second epilogue, if Starscream bails during the once Rodimus rises, it's like, Fallen's gonna lose, me outsee.
Yeah.
Having him go to, like, even in the last little
Sure,
moments, like,
yeah.
all right, well, I'm glad we took care of all that. And on the back monitor, Megatron's camera fuzzes out, and you just see Starscream like,
Sure.
just a little setup for,
Yeah.
even at the end of the credits roll, it could be like, Megatron will return.
Sure.
Like they do in, like, James Bond will return kind of stuff. Yeah. But that's just one idea. If you think we can work Megatron into this, how would you do it?
It would be I would try to do there's some sort of I don't want to make any particular nation the bad guys, but if there was a way to have Devastator, all the Constructicons, they're actually working with, not like Sector 7 doesn't have access to right they seemingly have access to the entire globe, but there are certain powers that are like, no, you're not welcome here. We have our own Transformers, and the Constructicons are actually working with them, and meanwhile the Constructicons have their own plan, which is to find and rebuild Megatron.
That's an interesting idea, that some Decepticons ended up in a foreign country and allied with them, as opposed to trying to just be dicks and like trash the place.
In fact, actually, now that I think of it, their Constructicons make them they're builders, right? Yes, they all tend to make architecture in their vehicle design, but that's not necessarily what they do. So what if we save that, either drop little bits. It's not a plot. It's not a plot for it. So drop like reference to it, but we come back at the end, and the Constructicons reveal what they've been building, which is there's this big building, and inside they are building a big tank.
Okay. That like a fan, and because you enlightened me on it, like a normie, I would be like, I don't get it, but a fan would go, oh, that's Megatron's second form.
Yeah.
So they're not gonna go dig him out of the ocean until they have his new form ready.
Yeah.
So that's sort of just a C plot. Is that leave the door open for a third movie where Megatron is resurrected into tank form?
Yes.
Nice. I dig that. That's cool.
Yeah, something like that.
It's just sort of an offhanded, like, third C plot, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
like there are so many Transformers on the planet now that they can't all be monitored and wrangled.
and if they're working for whatever country we decide to make the enemy in this movie, Canada, obviously, that they're like, build. Yeah, I like that. That's not bad. As sort of like a real small plant the seeds plot.
Yeah.
2009, Coulson was already talking about S.H.I.E.L.D. in Iron Man, in the first Iron Man.
Sure.
We've already, at least we could use that to point to him and like, listen, Paramount, trust us. This little
honestly,
sprinkling of an idea.
Even if we had to put it all in the third movie, like, the third movie's promising Dinobots and Megatron is back in a new form. I think is a fun idea.
Huh. Okay, well, so let's talk this all out again. So we are 1 year after the events of the first movie. The Autobots and Sector 7 are working together. Is it Sector 7 that feels wrong?
Does it?
It
was. I know it was 7 because the number 7 came from the group of guys that found Megatron and the Allspark.
You are right. It is Sector 7. Okay, that's fine. For some reason, maybe I'm like conflating it to Star Trek. Whatever the case. Josh Duhamel and the gang, they're working with Optimus and the GoBots to go out into the world.
How dare you? The GoBots are a different franchise that some people love.
So when impacts happen, they go to the location to find out, is this an Autobot that we can recruit, or is this a Decepticon we have to fight?
And they start showing up in such numbers. In fact, that would be a part of. I would actually have that be like the opening. Is the call goes out.
They are appearing in such numbers now.
Yeah, and like 1 or 2, and it's like we got to get there, and they appear in so like there's no way we can do all these. Then do a 1 year later, or do whatever our fast forward is to suggest. So that way we don't have to do too much of we've got landfall. Let's check out land. It's literally now investigation at this point.
Yeah. And while they're going out to do that, Sam and Michaela are staying nearby. So that do they already know Sam has sparks in him?
That I don't know.
Okay. Well, let's say that isn't revealed.
To get the cute little robots. Yes.
Maybe it's something that develops real quickly in the opening of this.
Sure.
But Michaela's working with Ratchet.
I mean, a good Michael Bay movie joke would be he accidentally discharges while he's sleeping, and his alarm clock gets turned into a transformer.
Okay.
So he doesn't wake up in time for something.
I thought
so we can get a classic Sam Witwicky. I'm late for a thing. Oh, no.
Yeah, he's pursuing school and work or what have you. Michaela is working with Ratchet in the machine shop, the home base of Sector 7. So that sort of like puts our players on the board. The opening action set piece of like, let's set everybody status quo. Here it is, giving Sam that first like spark moment. Let me try that. How do we make that happen? Could Starscream attack him and Bumblebee defends him, and it's Sam's first interaction with an enemy transformer that like basically heightens his. Basically, I'm giving him an X gene that's activated. He's been safe and protected since. Maybe there's little static electricity problems he has whenever he's sort of excited, but if Starscream shows up to attack Sam, Bumblebee gets to fight Starscream, and that's the first time Sam was like, I'm so scared, and that's the first time he actually like sparks.
Sure.
Okay. I'm just like I'm trying to create our status quo and everything, the pieces we need in the opening.
I do think he need to have that night discharge.
Oh, no.
I think the alarm clock. Yeah, but then like he goes to a battle. Yeah. Goes to a battle, gets separated from Bumblebee, and is about to be smushed.
Yeah,
and that's when he's like, "No,
spark!" Yeah. He goes.
Wiki power activate, and like a bunch of machines around them transform and come to his defense.
Yeah,
right. Like so, then the difference, and this was a thing I wasn't sure how to put in this. I thought it would be kind of cool to have. Whereas all the technology is based on Megatron, so when the Allspark in the first movie was near things and turning them into, they were all Decepticons.
They were bad, yeah.
So when Sam does it, they're good.
I like that. That's great.
That was the thought. But I wanted to somehow use that and then basically lay a seed for later to have new Transformers popping up, some good, some bad, and we just don't have that because by this movie we're passing the Allspark on to the cube and throwing it away.
There could be other ways, but I love like him. The first time we see Sam, he just has a static problem. Like every time he touches a doorknob,
Oh, sure. Yeah.
like his alarm clock doesn't work because he did something in his sleep. All that tracks. Has his first spark
I
moment.
know you're going to hate this. You're going to hate this.
I'm clapping already, Jim. You're giggling as you tell me.
This is why Bumblebee's voice fails.
Yo, yeah, fine. I'm crossing my arms now. Yeah, that works fine. You win. The end of our first act, we have that battle with Bumblebee and Starscream that has Sam go nuts and all that. Like that all works, and that at the end of that is that's when the Fallen is introduced. So the end of our first 15 minutes turning point, we have 15-20 minutes. We see where Optimus is working with Josh Duhamel. We know that Decepticons are showing up, whatnot. Bumblebee and Sam, Michaela working with Rad, all that's set up. Even John Turturro's back, ladies and gentlemen. I hope we see his butt in this one. Thong. And then the very last thing we do in this like setting of the status quo is on the dark side of the moon. The Fallen is awoken and is like zombie transformer.
Yeah.
And then we can proceed to, Starscream fleeing, answering the call of the Fallen while the heroes are being awesome. Actually, second act stuff like there. How the world is familiar with Transformers, or are we covering up everything? Like,
You mean do people know about Transformers?
Yeah. Like, are we just gonna let the Transformers exist in the open, or
no,
is it all
no,
covert?
It's all covert.
Okay, so Sector 7's gig is like.
Well, as you were talking, I realized. So Sector 7, right in the second movie, the way they tried to like, Sector 7, like John Turturro was on the outs, and Sector 7 wasn't a thing. It was just whatever secret or what. I don't even remember what government group took it over.
It was like the DOJ came in.
Something
and was
like that.
We're shutting you down.
With this, I would like
with some real
there
Michael
can still
Bay
be-
energy.
Yeah, yeah. There can still sort of be the threat of that, but because of the actions of the first movie, Sector 7 is given way more agency
Yes.
again,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like because they kind of didn't have it in the first one. Like John Turturro showed up and threw his weight around, but he didn't really have much. So now they have a lot more weight, but it's still not temporary, but they're on probation.
Yeah.
Because of the Transformer fall.
The devastation that they wreaked on Houston.
and how so many Transformers are now out in the world. You need to really prove you need to put up some numbers, buddy. So while they do have they're given a lot of unilateral power to travel around and do these things. They're not out from under the gun. They're like if you mess this up, you're done.
The Michael Bay character that's perfect for this. He's actually already. It's the pencil pusher that's in Revenge of the Fallen.
Yeah.
Getting him involved and having Josh Duhamel and the guys basically like haze him constantly, like getting him constantly mixed up as they work. Because there's the one moment in Revenge of the Fallen that I enjoy is when they stick the parachute on him, and then Josh Duhamel's like, "Pay attention!" And then he rattles off all the thing, and he's like, "And pull that cord! You gotta pull that cord! You gotta pull that cord! Don't pull it now, you dumbass!" And he gets sucked out the plane. Like, oh, that's great. More of that. Like, let's have this guy be this glasses up on his nose dweeb that they kick around because he's like, I'm checking your probation. I've got my list, and I'm that was against protocol, and like. But then, that feels like a Michael Bay-ism in there to have the government stooge be a dork.
I very much like the premise we've built here. I don't trust Michael Bay.
Listen, if we craft the right amount of fart jokes and ball jokes into our intricately detailed character-driven plot, I think we could pull this off.
Okay.
We can convince Michael Bay. That's why I'm giving him caveman Megan Fox at the end.
That's one little thing at the end. You didn't do super sexy college girl who purposely tries to break up a couple and then is also a Decepticon.
I got a plan. Josh Duhamel recruits a very sexy lady to constantly flirt with the pencil pusher. Yeah. Just a lot of boobs and ass.
All right.
Like a Fast and the Furious level amount, like a Michael Bay level amount of boobs and ass. You're right. What other isms do we need to have in here, or should we just sit back and realize that if in an alternate reality where this happens, there's a good chance this would be
in
dumber.
this alternate reality. All of Hollywood listens to the writers a whole lot more.
Oh, that's great. They didn't have to. Well, they didn't have to strike in 2007 and 8.
It's true.
That's the sort of timeline we live in.
Yeah.
Okay.
We didn't really list many Decepticons. I don't know if that matters.
Nah, I don't think that specifically matters right now. In fact, you listening, you've been saying put so and so in it. We are. Thank you for saying so.
Yeah. And I feel like with this we built a lot of moments for particular Transformers to display and have personality and stuff. So then it just comes down to how they're portrayed, literally how they're CG'd.
Yeah.
How their graphics look.
Much more colorful, so
Yes,
they're not
please.
just gray masses.
So rather than have, I'm pretty much done at this point.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah, we
pretty
can
satisfied
I'm good.
with what we got. Now it's just small details here and there. Like here's a dumb little nugget we could do. So rather than have the Constructicons join up with a foreign government, they actually join up with an unassociated terrorist organization that goes by
It's 2008.
name undecided. Actually,
2009 is coming to
it'd probably be something like something. It'd be here's a stupid. You can come up with something better, but Project Rattlesnake.
Okay.
And it's a group of just like Sector 7 and this elite group of army guys are teaming up with the Transformers. There is this secret terrorist organization teaming up with the Decepticons.
Great. I like that.
And so we have a knockoff G.I. Joe and Cobra teaming up with the Transformers.
I don't know about
which
this.
was a classic comic book move.
You know what? You're not wrong. But we don't have to bend over backwards to do that. I don't want to.
I want to.
No,
Look at me bend over.
Jim,
I'm bending
Jim,
over backwards.
I'm
bending
telling you,
over backwards
you've been
right
too
now.
far, Jim.
I'm bending.
Paramount owns both these properties. You can just do the GI Joes.
I could actually.
Don't do that.
Oh, okay.
Stop it.
Do we? Well, I guess we already did a GI Joe episode. I would almost rather introduce the GI Joes through what we're setting up now than.
Here's what I'm
And then
say.
GI Joe ends up being a spin-off of Transformers.
I'm gonna say yes. That is when Paramount is just like, holy crap, guys, you guys broke the box office with Revenge of the Fallen. Congratulations. What else you got in your mind? Well, like, dude, we set up Cobra. Like, Cobra's ready to go. We hid them in this last movie.
Yeah.
Rattlesnake. I'm just getting it. Oh my God.
Well, right, it's because G.I. Joe and Cobra were already just sort of renamed versions of Shield and Hydra.
Yep. Let's wrap it up here, folks. Well, we can go into like after episode conversation about the G.I. Joe.
Oh no! What I would do is I would name them after the Norse world serpent. In Norse mythology, the serpent that engulfs the world.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I can't remember his name.
Mim.
No.
Mim's a dragon.
Well,
I'll let you-
anyway, yeah.
We'll go into some further conversation. I just want to go to Davies real quick, who threw out some cast ideas. Just want to.
Sure.
Davies, thank you for sending your demand. We obviously didn't do it, but Transformers, Adam Driver as Spike.
So this would be like an all new one.
Yeah, this is an all new one.
Or something within the last 5 years.
Yeah, Jim Carrey as Blur, Harrison Ford as Cup. As for storylines, build on things like Transformer Prime that had an underlying importance on Energon artifacts. Build a couple seasons, and this would be a show. There you go. To build up to the 1986 film. Oh, and make sure you use the original soundtrack. A fan of the old school right there, but You would have to tell me if Jim Carrey is a good choice for Blur or if Harrison Ford
yeah.
is a good voice for Cup.
Blur is very fast. He goes super fast, motor mouth, and he in the '86 movie, I'm pretty sure he was voiced by the Micro Machine Man.
Oh, okay, that would do it.
Cup is an older one of the older Transformers, one of the sort of the forefather the fatherly ones. So Harrison
Mentor-y
Ford,
kind of character.
yeah, would be a good for that.
All right. Okay, well, there you go, Davies. I don't know if we can figure out how to work Spike in there, but let's rename him Cade Yeager and bring him in on the fourth one. Ms. from Studios, I hope we did you proud here. This went better than I thought because I was worried, not being a fan, but I knew I was in good hands with you here to tell me when I was right and or wrong.
Soundwave is so cool as a tape deck. Turning him into a satellite was kind of cool, although I wish he was more than just a head and head tentacles.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't bad. I just want him more in there than just
He's still up there at the end of the first movie, isn't he?
floaty. I thought he was only introduced in the second one.
Oh, you're right. Well, that's the Fallen can somehow use him. So, but I think that's going to do it for the episode right here.
Yep.
Thank you, everyone, for let us know. Let us know how we did. Like, did we do this? You listening? Are you a bigger Transformer fan than Jim?
Yes.
Tell him what he did wrong because I don't know.
When Bumblebee gets separated from Sam, it's because Ravage jumps on him, and so he's fighting Ravage at that time. Because that was a thing that always happened in the cartoon.
Ravage and Bumblebee were always fighting.
Yeah, Ravage always jumped on Bumblebee.
The fans are happy that you just said that.
I hope everyone remembers it the same way I do.
Well, message us if you like, dislike, whatever you have to say. You can find us at studiodemandsit.com. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at Studio Demands It. If you aren't already, please subscribe to us on whatever podcatcher you choose. And if you feel like giving us a review, a 5-star review, you can do that in app, and that really helps us get out there into the algorithms. You can find us on YouTube and TikTok, where we are posting video content this year, including material not heard on this show. Speed just went up for those of you who want to see the newest video. Scream, obviously, is up there, which you were a big fan of that one.
I was.
We have a lot of fun doing the commentaries, but we have an even more fun time doing the highlights. So check that out on TikTok and YouTube. You can find me at TC's Big Head on Twitter. If you want to find Jim, you can talk to me and I'll hunt him down for you.
You'll never find me.
Starscream, you failed me again.
Oh, that wasn't a Starscream. Ah! No, I can't even do it. I can't even get there. I can't even. It's the.
It's too high.
Yeah, kind of and screechy. It's the it's Cobra Commander's voice.
Yay!
Right? Isn't it? It's not easy.
Very high. Yay!
No, that's too far.
That's too high. I did mention this already, but if you haven't heard, we have a Patreon, and for a couple bucks a month, you can get bonus content. You can get episodes early. You can get extended double-length episodes. Before this episode started, we did a half hour about The Flash.
We did.
Yes, and you can also get the aforementioned movie commentaries to listen to at your leisure. A massive thank you to 6'5 Media for everything they do for us. If you are so inclined, please check out their other content. AZP continues to be top-tier Zelda content. And with the new game out right now, you want to hear what David and the gang have to say about that. Jim, any final thoughts? Do it as Starscream.
I'm going to end up being so loud your neighbors are going to get
it. No, Megatron! No! Okay, well, Jim, my ears are bleeding. Thank you very much. That does it for this episode. We will be back again with another one of your demands, and maybe it'll be the finale. Ooh, we are getting close to the end of the season here, folks. Actually, that's worth mentioning. As we are getting close to the end of the season, we will be putting a poll up for the finale. What are we going to greenlight? What are you, listeners, going to greenlight for our finale?
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited to find out what that's going to be. So.
This season has a bunch of really good entries.
I don't know if
contenders.
it's gonna be tough to narrow it down just to 5.
Yeah.
And then, but anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I am TC.
Hi, I'm Jim.
And this is how the show ends. I did a little jazz hand thing.
Studios, roll out. That's the Studio Demands It version of the Transformers theme song.
Yeah. There we go. Okay.
Studios demanding more movies.
More than these two guys. Man, that went way better.
It did.
Not that I was expecting it to go poorly, per se, but I was concerned about my lack of Transformers knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did okay.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Good job, TC.
Thank you. Validate me, please.
Or, no, what is it? That'll do, TC.
That'll
do.
Yeah. So, The Flash. So, more about...
we can talk
No,
more about
I'm not
the
going
Flash.
back to that. It's fine. The G.I. Joe Transformers crossover.
Uh-huh.
So, Paramount owns both.
Sure.
So, it's not out of the realm of possibility that even with a second movie, dropping just a seedling of Cobra or the Joes... you know what? I want to throw something out there.
And there's so many reasons that actually would be right, because I complained. I don't know if I complained off mic or on the commentary or what, but because you mentioned it sort of at the top of the episode, but didn't go too deep into it, about how the humans have no technology based on any of this new technology they've learned about.
Yeah, they're just fighting
G.I. Joe
bullets.
and Cobra vehicles and stuff like that. It all looks super futuristic. There's no once we get to this spin-off movie, there is there's all the reason in the world to make the G.I. Joe and Transformer tech, or G.I. Joe and Cobra tech resemble Transformer stuff.
Yeah. This is what I want to throw out for a spinoff, and I'm going to use Mission Impossible as a precedent. So when Tom Cruise made the first Mission Impossible, when they conceived it and pitched it, he did not play Phelps, which was the main character of the series. He created a whole new character in Ethan Hunt to carry the franchise on. So I think Paramount produced the first Mission Impossible. I think they're still producing all of them. I know Skydance is doing them because that's Tom Cruise's company. But here's the thing: they're not so beholden to a property that they wouldn't twist it to some new thing.
Sure.
So there's no reason G.I. Joe couldn't just be Sector 7 led by Josh Duhamel as Duke. Like they could come up with code names. He could be Duke, and the Joes could come out of Transformers.
The ones the soldiers they recruit from the armed forces to come join the elite soldiers of Sector 7.
And then so now you even get a.
That's why you are seeing where I was going.
Yes, but like literally saying he's Duke, like these are the Joes. So then Josh Duhamel actually gets a spin-off movie from Transformers where it's him versus Cobra, and Cobra is developing their technology off of Decepticon technology. Like, it's perfect, Jim.
Yeah.
I'm glad I came up with it. Wow, I'm so smart.
You really are.
I'm so smart.
I'm going to hold on to those coattails all day long.
I'm glad that you're not so beholden to G.I. Joe that me suggesting that Josh Duhamel, whose character I did not look up once in this entire episode, couldn't be Duke, and for you to be like, no, Duke has to be Duke.
Sure, absolutely. My initial thought was Flint because they both have brown hair, but again, that doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. And really, that would be a more successful launch of G.I. Joe than the G.I. Joe movie we got.
I think so as well.
You know how bad that second movie is? The Rock. That
movie has The Rock and Bruce Willis,
and it did nothing.
Yeah.
What the hell? A G.I. Joe spinoff where their technology, it's Transformer tech without having Transformers.
Yeah.
That's a fun
like
idea.
You would do a cameo.
Yeah. Like maybe as they're walking through the base, passing Ratchet or something.
Yeah.
Like I think that's actually a really fun idea.
Oh man, and then you could get really deep with the Cobra stuff and it all just points back at Transformers. so you don't even have to do the work of where are they getting all this stuff. You're like, it's just, that's done. Let's just get to the fight.
Yeah. So what? Do you want to keep elaborating on this?
Nah.
No?
I mean, we could. You want to? Do we want to just soft pitch GI Joe the spinoff? I'm not sure what it would be about.
Well, here's the reason I ask while you contemplate that.
Uh-huh.
You people are still listening. And the reason you people are still listening is because this extended content, this conversation we have right now, is the post conversation that we typically have after we end an episode.
Yeah.
So what you're hearing right now, this is the bonus content that we offer on Patreon. I'm making a commercial out of this.
Oh,
Everything
sure.
we
Okay.
just discussed that you're listening to now is the exact sort of like extra half hour to an hour that we do sometimes after we finish an episode. So yeah, we're going to sit here right now and we're going to pitch a G.I. Joe movie.
Sure.
And this is going out with the main episode. But as a way to entice our listeners to maybe consider throwing an extra couple bucks at us for extended episodes, I'm giving them the bonus content right here.
All right.
So, yeah, that sign off we normally do. Where's that? And then we keep talking and we get stuff like this. A G.I. Joe movie with using
Sure.
Transformer spin-off technology. What is the G.I. Joe of...
Like, what's the crux? What's the crux of GI Joe?
Yeah.
Right, because the way Rise of Cobra, what they did is, we're gonna start. We need to start this thing.
Yeah.
And it was not a non-starter, but it was
The-
the engine didn't turn over.
The weird thing about that first one, and we did an episode on it
Yeah.
2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
It feels...
God, was that 2 ago?
Yeah,
Wow.
it was a season 2 episode.
Okay.
The issue that I took with it is it's a lot of kids' gloves, and I understand
Sure.
it's meant to be this toy line or whatnot. Steven Sumner's did it. The guy who freaking did The Mummy and even had Brendan Fraser make a cameo.
Mm-hmm.
It felt too Phantom Menace-y. Like
Yeah.
and granted, it came out in a weird era of pre-Marvel, massive franchisey kind of stuff. Like, it just missed a lot.
It's really weird to say. I don't like him for a lot of things. Michael Bay is kind of right for a G.I. Joe movie.
Yeah, that's why Spielberg tagged him in. Even Michael Bay was like, I don't want to do that, and Spielberg convinced him to do it. He's like, trust me, you're the guy to do this.
I mean, I don't know if he's actually right for Transformers, but he's kind of right for G.I. Joe.
Oh, I see. I misheard you.
Yeah.
Damn, but could he do... He did 5 Transformers movies that are PG-13. How could he not do a PG-13
Yeah.
G.I. Joe?
Yeah, and he would.
Oh, my God,
It'd be a
dude.
field day because he loves doing the military stuff.
PG-13 Bad Boys is, in a sense, what would be crafted here. Michael Bay let loose with the military, firing guns
Yeah.
and being cool with, like, motorcycles and
Yep.
cars.
Taking out armies of faceless bad guys.
Huh, look at that.
Yeah.
Well, what sort of story do you do? Because, like, the G.I. Joe in its original creation was, what, Korea? World War II? What, like the original 12-inch dolls.
The very original. It was just war, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if it goes all the way back to World War II.
Cupid action figures.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then it was the Redux version that people are most familiar with.
Is the 3.5-inch version.
Hasbro went to Marvel
Mm-hmm.
and was like, we want to do an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. versus Hydra
Well,
toy line.
No, it was. We have this toy we want to pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Larry Hama was working at Marvel at the time, and the editor in chief at the time was like, "Who?
Jim
I
Shooter?
got GI Joe here. Who's gonna?" And it wasn't really a who's gonna do it. It was more a you're gonna do it.
Okay.
And he handed it to Larry, and Larry's like, "Oh, okay," because he was like one of the junior guys. He's like, "Okay." And he had notes for an Agents of Shield thing,
Mm-hmm.
and so he kind of incorporated that into it, and it very much starts as very army oriented, like the way those guys looked. All the Joes are in green, and all the Cobras are in blue.
Blue,
I think.
right? Very stormtrooper looking.
Kind of.
They look
yeah.
more Cold War Russian blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the era. That was the 80s. I'm pretty sure that was the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
the early 80s. And then I remember definitely within 30 issues, I think it was around 20. G.I. Joe had sort of its transformation where all of the characters stopped automatically being in some variation of the same green uniform, and they all started taking on very personal looks. That's sort of when the toy line exploded, and so Larry Hama was still on the hook for like, we have these new toys, incorporate them and stuff. But the stories they got really cool at the time. G.I. Joe even had 2 lines of comics. They had G.I. Joe and G.I. Joe Special Missions, which were basically one-offs. Like each issue was a different mission of a different Joe on some individual mission.
Oh, so like a one shot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where did the cartoon fall in line with all this?
It advertised the toy.
Okay, that's fine.
It didn't really dovetail into the comics at all.
Okay. And I'm assuming just because of my knowledge of the comic book world, the comic book stories were way cooler than the cartoon stories.
Yeah.
So that's the 80s. That's the Cold War. When we got the Stephen Summers version, we're talking post 9/11.
Sure.
Well, it was a weird era.
So one of the reasons I describe that the way I do is because imagine Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay.
with just a much more military orientation.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's really what a lot of the comics were, because the characters were all these specialized military units. Like I represent all of this type of thing because I'm the very best from this branch.
Demolitions.
Right. Like
I'm the scuba diver.
There's a guy called Tunnel Rat, and his whole thing is he's a tunneler.
Okay.
Like he can go through like air shafts and sewers and I forget his. Tunnel Rat was cool. But like there's specialty guys like that. Like there was a guy named
Shore Leave.
Shore Leave, yeah. And he was the Navy. It wasn't Shore Leave. It was.
I know that's from Venture Brothers. Yeah.
Well, but Shore Leave was a reference to. Oh my God, Shipwreck.
Shipwreck. There you go. Yeah. So the reason I say this now, so we're making our spin-off movie, Transformers and G.I. Joe. How do we want to present this hypothetical? Do we want to spin off from the existing Transformers we just created that came out in 2009, which means this would come out in 2011, 2010? Or do we just want to waylay that and say, we're coming up with a Transformers and G.I. Joe that exists today, that's going to come up next year? Like what
would be on? I'd go off of what we just did.
Okay, so we're looking at
as of right now.
Yeah.
That's where I would start doing it. Like because we laid the groundwork. We laid the groundwork with these Transformers movies, and their relationships to the humans who have organizations that have kind of built around them. Like that's a lot of the conceit.
Yeah.
So it's necessary for it.
Okay,
If we were to just jump into doing a G.I. Joe movie now, I'd have to watch like 4 more Transformers movies.
So let's not do that. So then therein lies the question of we'll say this comes out in 2011, 12, somewhere in there. So 2009 would have been when our second Transformer comes out. We'll say 2011 is going to be when our third one comes out, and 2012 would be when our G.I. Joe movie comes out.
Sure.
Okay.
At that time, actually, that schedule probably makes more sense. A much more aggressive schedule I would recommend, because we laid this groundwork in the script. Paramount would know this. They would love to take advantage. So 2 comes out. The next year, Transformers
10,
comes out.
and then 11.
Then we get Transformers in Time,
Yeah.
right? Probably a second Transformers or a second G.I. Joe movie, which doesn't bring it, but teases the return of Megatron. So that way your Transformers 4 is Megatron coming back.
Cool. Okay, yeah, that's fair. So just kind of puts us in an era. So we're looking at 2012-ish.
With my super aggressive schedule, yes.
Fine. The reason I say that is now what would be the appropriate. So funny enough, we're kind of like, so 2009, 10 was the first Avenger. We're sort of like getting into competitive territory in terms of military action, cool movie kind
Sure.
of stuff here. But the weird thing is, Paramount had Captain America at the time.
Oh.
Because before Disney got a hold of them for the Avengers, Paramount was the production studio. So Paramount would have competing Captain America, like action military fun movies coming out at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
What our advantage here is we've already set a tone and style. We didn't even set it. 2007 set it with Michael Bay's Transformers.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever action military movie we create set in modern day shouldn't conflict with our World War II Captain America. I'm speaking more businessy here
Sure.
in terms of like how do we proceed with our movie. I just want to be clear. We have to avoid copying or like having any similarities to
Marvel?
Marvel and
Oh.
Captain America specifically, that first one.
Sure.
It's World War II, so we're already safe there.
Yeah.
What do we do with our characters? What do we do with Josh Duhamel as Duke and or whatever we want to call him? Fighting the Joes, and we don't have to go and we're not doing a full episode here.
Sure.
We can keep this pretty tight.
I think we open with a Cobra operation. I can't remember. So there's a town in the comics that Cobra took over.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Milwaukee.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Oh man.
It
that's
was
so-
a Cobra. Sorry.
Beep, boop,
give me
boop,
moments.
beep, boop,
G.I.
boop,
Joe,
boop,
Cobra.
boop. That's Jim's phone. It's really annoying. Beep, boop, boop,
Town.
boop, beep, boop, boop, boop. There's another situation of Jim's going to have more knowledge than me because, as discussed 2 seasons ago, I wasn't allowed to play with G.I. Joes. So my knowledge of this is even less than
they're-
Transformers.
They're a real American hero. Oh, super generic. Scarlet. So in the issue, the story, a nice little town like ours, Scarlet, Snake Eyes, and Zap find themselves prisoners of Cobra and trapped in a nice-looking town called Springfield. And the idea was Springfield was basically not a fake. It was essentially a fake town. It was entirely run by Cobra. It was
In
it was
America?
it was a Cobra town in America.
Okay.
And I think the idea there was, oh, this is Anytown, USA.
Okay.
Oh, and it's the bad guys amongst us.
Yep,
So
yep.
the idea that I
I'm
built
rubbing
on
my
is
hands together
yeah,
greedily, like, yes,
this-
tell me more of this.
they're building more of these. Like, oh no, so our characters, our Joes, find out about Cobra and like, oh, these dudes are international. Like we would see a mission in some foreign country. The first thing that comes to
Belgium.
mind, set up some stuff, have it happen in Russia,
Okay.
where Cobra pulls off a big mission and steals a bunch of plutonium or something like that. The
They
reason
steal some
reason I say Russia,
Decepticon stuff.
no, they have a
okay.
hookup with Decepticon stuff.
Okay.
Unless we want to start laying the groundwork for Energon and Energon cubes, which I wouldn't mind doing.
That's what they're stealing.
Stealing this stuff to start doing it. The reason I like plutonium is because that keeps it a real world thing, but also by setting it in Russia, who has nukes and plutonium and stuff like that. There is a group in G.I. Joe called
He's back to his phone, ladies and gentlemen. Beep, boop,
Yep.
boop, boop, beep, 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 boop,
G.I.
boop, boop.
Joe Russia.
Stylistically speaking, if we kept this as
There it is.
grounded as possible, like hometown, like not that it's just all in America, but like keeping it on the ground. Like let's not have them flying through the air and like.
But they have. So
I'm
they
trying
have,
to
they have
just-
jets and helicopters and stuff like that.
I'm just trying to distinguish this from Transformers. Like if it's more like person to person fighting as opposed to like ships shooting at each other stuff.
I think we're going to have a combination of both.
Okay, just checking in.
Honestly, the action it's Michael Bay, still Michael Bay, and I think that action is gonna look similar. It'll look quote unquote better because you won't have to worry about giant fucking robots.
Yeah.
You won't have to CG in robots. You have to CG in some weird tank details, but you can make it a lot more practical.
Sure. That's more or less what I'm asking for.
yeah.
Keeping it more grounded in reality.
But start with this attack on Russia where Cobra steals a bunch of very important MacGuffins. And that's laying a seed for all the G.I. Joe fans listening to this for the October Guard. The October Guard
Ooh, that sounds
is a
cool.
group that essentially it's Russia's version of G.I. Joe.
All right. So not Cobra.
They're actually like I think they start as enemies because Russia, America, but in the comics, like, oh no, you guys are kind of cool because you're like us, and we eventually team up because Cobra's the real bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
So Cobra does that, steals that. So Josh Duhamel with his new codename Duke, and friends, they're like, we got to do something about this. So we have an international thing. This is all Act 1. Like they overcome some Cobra outpost. Maybe incorporate some more things there. Like the terror drone was the turtles, right? What was the
big Crank's big giant thing.
Was that the terror? The Cobra had a similar toy. Is this outpost base? Do something like it is cool. Incorporate things. Member berries for people like me to love.
And
so
I don't.
They take out one of them like in Kazakhstan or Kurdistan or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so now the Joes are feeling like we did a good job, and maybe they give the plutonium back to the October Guard, like because we're good, we're neighborly international friends or something like that.
We get along.
Yeah. But they either pick up a hint or they're flying home and they get shot down over America. We could do a similar Springfield story where like, oh no, Cobra's already in the U.S.
Calls coming from inside the house.
And so now they're like, oh, we have insurgents here in the U.S. Cobra is establishing itself, has established itself. So now we have to start rooting them out here. This is more me setting up a potential forever premise.
Yeah.
I realize that's not great for movies.
That's right.
But it would be something like that. Like, so now we need to root out, I guess, Cobra Commander. We have to, like, Cobra Commander's, he's nearby. Let's
like
go get him.
Find the leader of this organization. It's one thing to snip all the branches, but we need to go to the roots. We need to find who's and. Yeah, and if the mystery of the leader of Cobra Command, finding the commander, is basically the first mission of this military action movie, mission based one by one, escalate from one action piece to the next. I would look to Bad Boys and Con Air and The Rock as sort of like. We know Michael Bay can do this move, like keep it moving, keep it fun, keep it actiony, keep it tense and dramatic.
And depending on how kind of small you wanted to get, once they crash, they try radio. We're in the U.S. How can we not make an outgoing call?
Yeah,
it's because Cobra runs everything and is tapped, so they know. Oh, we know where you are now, and so now they're on the run through.
They're using like the remnants of Soundwave.
Sure, yeah. So now our Joes have to fend for themselves.
Actually, you know
so
what?
That's how we make this small group of Joes having to get out to get the do this. So that, and then they find Cobra Commander, defeat him, and that's when we find out. Oh, Cobra Commander has all sorts of stand-ins, referencing his. I don't remember if it was actually a clone program, but Cobra Commander had stand-ins for himself, which were the Freds, and there were like 8 of them. Nice. And they just had numbers. Like, I'm Fred 1, I'm Fred 2. And on top of that, later on, they tried... they might not have been clones. They might have just been octuplets that looked like him or were in his place.
It was... Let's see, Octomom, that was about 2009... that was about 2000.
I'd probably just go with clones. But what's fun is... Oh, no, I think he was... So they tried doing the classic plot where you gather the DNA of all the worst leaders in history and you combine them. I'm pretty sure that is the basis of the Cobra leader known as Serpentor, except Cobra Commander is also incorporated. So there's a number of different leaders
we have bad guys per movie.
And just ending it with, we got him. It's not actually him. And there's Cobra Commander like on the rung of a helicopter as he flies away. With Baroness flying him away or something like that.
Maybe not that silly, but that all works as at least like the baseline of how to build it. And it's cool to like have them. It's got the international aspect to it, but it's not so globe-trotting. It's sort of honed in. I like that. As far as like a first movie's concerned, there's some like that's simple. Like, and I don't want to elaborate too much further than that. Like I'm getting
sure.
But that's just the fact that we would already have this world idea introduced with Transformers, that there's an explanation for this sci-fi technology, but setting it in a quote-unquote real world. That all aesthetically feels fun. And then giving it that Michael Bayham action, it could be as bonkers. Like I said, The Rock is a good example. Bad Boys is a good example. And he might make 5 more of these. Ambulance would be an example of like the sailing, sink me away. Like, why is this happening right now? Michael Bay, don't ask questions. But it's awesome.
Plot wise, knowing it's connected to Transformers, my only concern is that you end up with the Marvel question.
Yeah,
well, where's Thor?
Yeah,
right. Like, well, so where are the Transformers this whole time?
Which I think is why making it grounded in a person-to-person, mission-by-mission basis kind of contrives it. Like, this is a little small for the Transformers to deal with. They're busy fighting the giant mechs.
Sure.
Having the small terrorist cells that need to be taken out. That it's like the difference between Daredevil fighting street heroes and Thor fighting the gods. Daredevil's not going to fight the gods, and the gods aren't going to fight.
Why didn't Thor come down and punch Kingpin?
Yeah, right. So there's some flexibility in there, and plus it's like, so movie can happen. Shut up.
Yeah, most of it's so movie because like the more I think about the tech that Cobra has gets pretty out there. They have a whole line. Right, I already mentioned clones. They have a whole line of robots called Cobra Bats.
Cobra Bats.
And it's supposed to be an acronym, BATS. I don't remember what it stands for. Battle Android T Systems. Terror Systems.
Terror. There we go. That works. Terror synthenoids.
And they're, and that is easily explained as, that's based on Transformer tech.
Yeah, yeah. Any sort of like outlandish technology is just like, it's Decepticon stuff. Like I earlier talking about like, how did they stop the communications going out? And I was like, they have Soundwave, like the down satellite, like they have scavenged that technology.
I don't know if Soundwave was ever down.
We're gonna blow him up in the second movie, so then he will be down.
Oh, poor Soundwave.
That's all right.
I always loved Soundwave. Soundwave was always loyal to Megatron, and that's a good trait to have in a follower. I always thought Soundwave would make like the best leader. Every leader of the Decepticons was always so like conniving and self-serving so much it was detrimental to their purposes, whereas Soundwave would be like, you don't understand, I have like 4 or 5 tapes inside of me that all turn into little, like 2 birds, 1 cat, and 2 people that go out and they do, like, one makes earthquakes. I can I run on my own little army. I can do this.
Well, the thing is, crashing him allows him to eventually be turned into a cassette tape.
I'm in. I'm back in. Okay. I'm back in. I was going to say, if it's needed, there are Transformers that could be incorporated, and they would be almost. We could even make them like dedicated Transformers for the G.I. Joe stuff. Hound, classically, he's an Autobot that transforms into an army jeep. Oh. In the cartoon, he was a main character. He was very often a main character. Yeah. And then I don't know which Decepticon. I could find a Decepticon.
Well, cool. I'm gonna stop you there.
Okay.
So this is the bonus content that is available.
I can keep going. I can keep going.
I'll let you keep going because we'll just continue to provide content here. But so that was a little glimpse of what we provide as far as our bonus content is concerned, and I can see Jim wanting to continue right now.
And enthusiasm and energy is still going, but like content, I'm starting to run out of steam. It's going to be like little spurts here and there, like. This guy could be here. This could be in the
Baroness.
At this point, I'm just going to be naming characters.
When Snake Eyes introduced, the crowd goes wild.
Right, like, so I would save for G.I. Joe 2 or 3.
There you go.
Yeah, here. The ninjas. I wouldn't. They go ninja crazy too fast.
We'll get to the ninjas. Yeah. Okay, thank you everyone for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show and this glimpse at the available extra conversation that Jim and I have. So thank you everyone. A second good night to you all. Goodbye, good day, wherever have you. I'm TC.
Jim.
And you already knew that.